Welcome to our webinar, Blend, Flip, Frappe, the Emerging 21st Century American Classroom. This webinar will show you how to create a blended and flipped classroom without standing on your head. It's easier than you think. Our presenter today is Kellie Huff. Ms. Huff founded the Aurora School in 2003 with a mission to accelerate learning for children with learning challenges. She holds a Master's of Arts in Speech Pathology from the University of Tennessee and has served the Atlanta community as a speech pathologist and educator for over 20 years. Ms. Huff honed her professional skills at Emory University, where she specialized in neurogenic speech, language, and cognitive disorders. It was during this time she began to explore and participate in the utilization of intensive neurologically based learning programs. Today, Ms. Huff applies her interest in neurology and brain function to her work with children and adults with her blended classrooms at her Aurora School.
My PowerPoint here, and I'll be going between the PowerPoint and some examples of an online instructional model that we utilize here, and hopefully it won't be too cumbersome for us as we get going. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Bethany. And it is nice to reconnect with Bethany and JC after all these years and see that we're doing great work out there in education. I'm very proud of my school colleagues, Bethany and JC Bowman. 21st century schools, blend, flip, and frappe. We hear lots of terms these days, and some of them make perfectly good sense, and others are a little strange and new. I think we'll see some significant changes in how classrooms are structured and managed, and how and where we work as educators, both in the classroom as well as many of my colleagues are moving to online teaching instruction, and all of the excitement and challenges it brings. So hopefully after an hour from now you'll have a good understanding of some of the possibilities of online education and some of the challenges as well as we move forward into embracing this 21st century. If you want to email me any questions, if you'd like to receive this presentation, I can email it directly to you. Bethany is recording it as well, and so there are numerous various ways to contact to receive the presentation, and certainly feel free to write my email address down there and contact me if you'd like to get any questions for me personally after the webinar is over. All right, so the Aurora schools. Bethany mentioned that we have the Aurora schools. It's a K-12 school in Norcross, Georgia. Also, I'm the founder of the Aurora International Academy, which utilizes online courses for reaching students wherever they happen to be located. The International Academy has a specific certification from the Georgia Accrediting Commission that allows us to award a Georgia High School Diploma. And the reason we have that certification is because of the online courses that we added to our curriculum about a year and a half ago. Our mission is to make every student successful. Our school in Norcross, Georgia, specializes in learning challenges, and so the online courses that we brought on here were designed to and are designed to offer differentiated instruction to students that have a variety of learning challenges, some as mild as just attention deficit, others as significant as autism, and in meeting every child where they learn best. We found a significant amount of success with online courses that I never really thought possible. Our team is composed of quite a few folks that have years of experience in the education arena, and very fortunate to work with some wonderful people as well as our teachers every day. A little bit about the state of education today. When we look at education and what our country is going through, we're finding private schools that are closing due to lack of funding, In some cases, they're relevant. We're finding even well-resourced schools are unable to compete, in meeting the needs of today's complex students. Our students seem to be, as we all know, very tech-savvy, and the moment they leave a classroom or a school, they're on their cell phones, they're on their iPads, they're on their devices, and some schools are allowing those devices to be brought into the classroom, other schools are not. But meeting the students where they are and what they are interested in is part of the emerging use of a blended classroom and allowing more technology into the classroom. Our public schools, as we all know, we see budget cuts. I know Tennessee is ranked certainly higher than Georgia is, but none of us are immune to the budget cuts that we're all facing. And you guys have probably heard of entire cities that are beginning to declare bankruptcy because of the pension funds that are being stretched to the max. So of course the public schools are going to have budgets cut in order to continue to provide the pensions. And we'll see a continuing, I believe, move toward more use of digital learning, more use of online courses, because they become a more financially efficient way of delivering content for many of our students. And then some reports, such as the one from the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research, some folks are saying that our public schools are losing 30% of their student population every year, whether that is through students that are simply dropping out, students that are going to private school or homeschool, returning to the system later on, going to a different school. There's a lot of pass-through that students are experiencing and that our schools are experiencing. And one thing that a blended classroom that uses online courses as a backbone of the blended classroom allows the school to do or allows the student to do is to take those courses with them, regardless of where they go, whether they're in a homeschool situation or a private or a public school situation. If they're sick for a while and have to go to the hospital, if they need to travel, the courses go with them and you still maintain the component of a blended classroom. In 2012, in Georgia, our Board of Regents reduced the number of students admitted for our remedial courses at a college level, and that had a significant impact on our university system. At that time, it was devoting $55 million to remediation courses for freshman level, sophomore level students. Of course, they don't get college credit for those courses. They found that only 15 to 25% of those students graduated if they arrived at college needing remediation in reading, writing, or math. More than 70,000 Georgia students are taking remediation courses or took them last year. Many of our K through 12 schools are finding that adding digital learning, adding online courses to the curriculum helps to better prepare students for entry, for the expectations at a college level. And addressing specifically in Georgia this need for remediation, the budget cutbacks, more and more of our schools are looking toward online courses, blended learning, and flipped classrooms as a way of addressing this challenge. Interestingly, the online courses have been most researched and found to be most successful with students that need remediation, that need credit recovery, that are sort of on the fringe of our educational model, and that's where we find the current research that shows them to be highly successful. They're moving more and more into the regular education model through the use of blended learning, and we'll look more at this as we take a look at exactly what an online course can look like or can feel like. Other students that we see, unlike when Bethany and I were in school, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, or maybe something like 30 years ago. We went to school and arrived by 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and we left at 3. And after school was the time that we participated in our extracurricular activities. On Saturdays, we typically watched cartoons from 8 until 12, and then went to play sports or attend a sporting game. Sundays were typically reserved for family time and church time and not sporting activities. But now we've got 24/7 activities that are engaging our students from very young ages, 8, 9, 10 years of age, whether it be sports, travel ball, and in Georgia, because of the film and entertainment industry, we see a lot of students who are emerging actors and actresses, dancers, and other events are taking students out of the classroom and offering a solution to that, customizing the courses, making them flexible for students is something that is doable much more easily with online courses, with digital learning than it has been in the past. Traditionally, we would have to send tutors with a school, or a family would have to get a tutor, or there was additional coursework, additional time required on the part of the teacher, and it was much more cumbersome. These days, it can be as simple as taking your laptop with you, and you don't have to miss your class. You're still considered attending. In April of 2012, our Georgia high school graduation rate, which is we're holding steady there for 2013, is ranked at 67.4% of freshmen that enter high school will graduate. Looking at Tennessee, you guys are certainly outshining us in Georgia, but we always knew you guys did that. And we're looking at 80% graduation rate for Tennessee. I think by 2020, Tennessee is aiming for a 90% graduation rate, which I think is doable. We're seeing students more motivated to graduate in Georgia when we apply opportunities for them that are based on the blended learning format, and we'll go more into that as we continue on this evening. This is let's see, a quick video.
Graduation is a big deal at every high school, but when you come back from dropping out or overcome some major adversity to get that diploma, it might mean just a little more. Tonight, I met some young people in Columbus who told me it does. For 50 students at the 4 Bridgescape Academies, this was a night to remember.
Whatever route you took to get here, it's not as important as the fact that you are here.
Life challenges made for long and winding roads for many of these young adults. Tiara Davis here lost her mom when she was 11. She said she dropped out of high school twice. And something told her, like, go for your diploma before you have to go for your GED. Bridgescape was there. Its schools are charters.
We take students who, again, the traditional model just doesn't work for.
What at Bridgescape made it possible for you to accomplish this today?
The teachers working with me, Ms. Henry, being able to work at my own pace, Ms. DeGlomo, that really helped a lot. Ms. Shaper-Cotter.
It helps them all the way to that handshake and diploma. They beat the odds, or tough paths, or self-doubt.
This is a victorious moment for us all.
You can see it in their tears of joy.
You don't put that thing in my car and just say, I made it.
For one proud mama tonight.
This was a long, hard road for you.
She and her friends learned the traditional lessons, and the paper is proof they learned life ones too.
No matter what you're going through, you got to believe in yourself before anybody else can believe in you. You got to want it for yourself.
I am told the 4 Columbus Bridgescape Recovery Centers or academies serve 400 to 500 students. They range in age from 14 to 21. As we said, Bridgescape is for people who dropped out or are at risk of leaving but still want to pursue a standard high school diploma.
Okay, so an example of Bridgescape Academies, and in 2013, actually 2012-2013 school year, Bridgescape opened 3 academies here in Georgia for students, and they very quickly enrolled, I believe, 1,500 students, one in Savannah, one in Macon, one in Atlanta. The the format that they use is a blended learning format, and the courses that are offered there are online courses, but it's not a virtual school. Students go to school, they attend 4 hours, one or two, so they have 2 shifts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Students are expected to be there for 4 hours a day and to complete an accelerated amount of course material through the online courses. What I thought was interesting with the graduation ceremony and the interviews of the students, when asked, who helped you get through and arrive at your diploma, the students still named the teachers as being the most important aspects of why they were successful with getting a diploma. And so even in the presence of a very online, you can see their courses are delivered on laptops, the online format for learning for high school students, it's still very much a person-to-person and influenced by the teacher that the students remember as the reason for why they're successful. So for Aurora succeeding in the different formats that we offer, the blended learning, the digital learning format, we've participated with a private school last year in helping turn that private school around to being much more financially sustainable by adding online courses to their format. They were a school that had lost numbers, had been 250 students at one time, and through just the challenges with the economic downturn, found themselves at 75 students, still had a few too many teachers on their payroll because it was hard to let the teachers go, and they weren't exactly sure of how many students they would have each year. And we're preparing for things to turn around and for students to return to the school. Adding online courses allowed the teachers they allowed the number of high school students to be small, and I think there were 75 students still with a 9 through 12th grade education, and K through 12 total. We had only about six teachers on staff utilizing online courses. What's the nice benefit of the online courses when you're working with a very small school or a very small classroom is that each course, when you're looking at a full online course, comes with a teacher attached to it. So students were able to take French 2, even though they had on-site a Spanish teacher who knew some things about French. She became the proctor, and the French 2 teacher worked with her, even though the French 2 teacher was located halfway across the state. Other classes such as physics and calculus and Mandarin Chinese can be added to a very small school that may only have 1 or 2 students interested in that course. And with guidance and communication between the teacher behind the scenes or through the internet and the teacher on site, additional courses can be added to a school's offerings that will, for a private school, help them regain their competitive nature, and offers courses to students in public schools that they would never have been able to offer before. Again, with number 2, Norcross, Georgia, we're a private specialized school utilizing brain-based learning technology and neurotechnologies to accelerate learning for students. Because we have students that have learning challenges, every student learns at a different pace and has different challenges. And the online courses, the use of digital technology allows us to meet the students where their learning takes place and engage them more effectively on a one-on-one basis oftentimes, whereas in a classroom, even with a small group of 2 or 3 or 6, we can't keep a child from checking out when we're in a classroom setting, but with the online courses, they're asked to participate, to interact with the courses on a consistent basis, and 3 or 4 minutes goes by with student participation in the course and doesn't allow for time to really kind of float away and check out like oftentimes our kids might do in a regular classroom. The International Academy, we go. Let me catch up here. The International Academy is purely online, and it's a U.S. college preparatory path for homeschool students, for older students, and for international students. The accreditation allows for a U.S. High School Diploma to any student who qualifies, and they can be located anywhere. We're currently talking with students in Liberia, China, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela, and Honduras. And the trend that we see is that even though students in other countries are very interested in receiving a U.S. High School Diploma, the opportunity for those of us in the U.S. as educators will be in providing the instruction to those students in other countries. So whereas we may be seeing a loss of a job at our local public school or private school, like I mentioned before, many of my colleagues are picking up additional courses and students that are located halfway around the world, and all because of online technology. There we go. And the accreditations are, of course, state, regional, national, international accreditations, plus NCAA approved. The accrediting bodies, because the courses, the ones that are typically available, have been designed by our traditional curriculum publishing houses, as well as educators with a lot of credentials behind their names. It's because of the structure of the online courses that the accrediting bodies appreciate them. And when you've got a structure that is there 85% of the time, with the ability to add on top of it and to accessorize the course, then the accrediting body feels much more comfortable with the curriculum that's being offered and delivered, and is very supportive. So I expect that as we grow as private schools and public schools, and more effective and widespread use of online courses, that we will also see our SACS accreditation, now advanced ed accreditation, become more of an international accreditation, and more consistency, even more than we have right now with Common Core, as depending on how we feel about Common Core standards. We've got another video.
I'm studying in Kampala, Uganda, in Africa, and online school has given me the opportunity to serve during the day and then do my schoolwork at night.
I'm Charles Jin, and I'm from Yanji, China. And this last summer, I took OC Oaks Christian online school from my hometown.
Hi, I'm Summer, and I live in Texas. I think it's really neat that even though I live all the way down here, I can still attend Oaks Christian online school.
Hi, I'm Aurora, and I am a 9th grade student on Oaks Christian Online.
Hello, I'm Hank. I go to Oaks Christian Online School. Before I started online learning, I was homeschooled, went to private school and public school, so I have a large background of all sorts of different types of schools.
Hi, I'm Veronica Dunn, and I'm a student at Oaks Online. I love it. Basically, I do school in the morning, and I take a few hours every day, keep up with my schoolwork, and I get to the rest of the day go to auditions and rehearsals and live my dreams.
The transition to studying online versus like going to an everyday school was actually really simple. I mean, the first day was kind of a little rocky. I kind of didn't know what to do, but all my teachers actually have Skype, so I was able to kind of meet them and get started really easily. Set up a page chart to see kind of how I was going to do all my work for the remainder of the year. So,
the greatest benefit of studying online has been the flexibility that it's given me. If I want to do an overnight instead of full trip, then I can work ahead on my online school so that I don't have to worry while I'm serving. I needed a balance between my schoolwork and my soccer so that I could work in both ends without sacrificing either one. And with Oaks, I don't have to sacrifice them.
most meaningful has been how the course, the teachers, and the students are all on top of this Christian foundation. So my assignments that I work on, whether it's biology or Bible class, are all grounded in biblical truth.
And I'm responsible, and my teachers gave me a lot of good advice from the internet, and we communicate a lot on the phone, on the email, and it was really helpful to me.
The people who are really behind this whole program want you to succeed. They really want you to do well and be able to get into the colleges you want and have fun and stay motivated. And they're so behind you in everything.
So an example of an online private school and their reach around the world to provide a student-centric type of education that is based on the platform of online courses. In January 2014, I was mentioning the Liberia engagement begins, and offering online courses that will, on the other end, take place in a blended classroom format is the design we've been working on for over a year. At the end of the PowerPoint, I have a schematic that shows the structure of the classroom that we found works best for blended courses. And I'm going to show you what we do for flipped learning in just a second. So we all know that the pillars of education, or 21st century education, reside in the following items: critical thinking and problem-solving skills, collaboration across networks and leading by influence, agility, adaptability, initiative, and entrepreneurialism, effective oral and written communication, accessing and analyzing information, curiosity, and imagination. And when I look at the previous video with the students there, and of course they're the model students that they've chosen for their marketing video, and hopefully they actually are real students, I look at these and I think of those students and I think maybe they've got it. They've got the 21st century education skills that we look for in students that we want to be globally competitive as they'll need to be in the coming years. And one of the nicest things about utilizing the digital format for collaboration is being able to move outside the four walls of our traditional brick and mortar buildings and connect with students from around the world much more easily by embedding those within the context of the digital learning devices or within the online courses. For families today, within a blended classroom format, what we recommend is that 1/3 of a classroom, 1/3 of time spent in a classroom, be spent with online courses as the backbone for the class curriculum. The online courses are updated real time when, if you utilize an online course that's fully self-contained, then you don't have to to deal with an edition that is 6 years old. You have real-time science courses that are updated on a regular basis. The content is engaging, should be engaging, adapted to today's technology-savvy student. If it's just simply a textbook placed online, or if it's a PowerPoint presentation, they will disengage, and we're back where we started. Some of the nice aspects of many of the new online courses that are available is the aspect of a diagnostic assessment at the beginning of a course or at the beginning of each quarter or semester that gives credit for knowledge that is already possessed. And this would be extremely difficult to do in a regular classroom, but is very easy to do with an online or blended format that allows the students to travel at their own pace. We had in the private school I was mentioning before, that had lost from 250 students down to 75 students, several of the juniors wanted to move as quickly as they could because we were now able to offer dual enrollment courses with universities that had online courses as well. So they were able to accomplish within their within their English language arts category, they were able to accomplish a year and a half within 1 year in preparation for taking college-level English by the time that they were a senior. This was doable within their classroom framework because they were encouraged to move at their own pace. They were working in the evenings and on the weekends to accelerate their pace, and they were provided with diagnostic assessments that gave them credit for pre-existing knowledge. Much like you would clip out of the class, excuse me, once you got to college, they were able to do the same thing with a portion of their high school material and then pick up with the course at the point of new learning. Teachers became the guide by the side rather than the sage on the stage, and it was an interesting shift for the teachers. Not every teacher became comfortable with it as quickly as the students did, and some teachers became too comfortable and expected the online courses to do the majority of work for them. And so it took a while for those of us who were older to really find the right balance between, like I mentioned, 1/3 of classroom time being online courses, 1/3 of the time engaged in project-based collaboration between students, and 1/3 of the time with teacher instruction, and either working as a more of as a facilitator or a tutor. Some teachers think of it along those lines, or accessorizing the course and going a little deeper into the course for areas where there's a particular interest that a class has or that a teacher has experience in. The benefits. Bringing online learning into a classroom obviously is much more relevant and engaging for today's students. Many of our students, many of the courses, the digital content is compatible with not just laptops or desktops, but iPads, tablets, Android tablets, and cell phones. And we were just talking with one of our Dominican Republic students who is using his cell phone most of the time for accessing his courses, which would be very difficult for me, but that's where he lives, is through his cell phone. And so it's a larger screen cell phone, and it's working very well for him. Of course, he'll move over to a laptop or a desktop when he's writing papers, but for doing some of the basic elements of the online course, and I'll show you those in a minute, he's very comfortable on his cell phone. The financial sustainability for our administrators, when we do it correctly, we implement the right type of technology to take a lot of the heavy lifting from teachers and allow us as teachers to be creative and to engage with students and get the most out of the technology, then we find improved efficiencies in the delivery of high quality college preparatory education, which allows for better outcomes and reducing the cost significantly. And one example is, as an online teacher, I may be able to, if I have the right technology and support, teach 250 students in an English class rather than the number that I would have during a regular work day. I'm not saying that everyone would be expected to teach that amount, that number of students, or that it's the best number to teach. I'm just simply saying that with the right supports and record keeping and technology and use of that it is feasible. And it's very doable to do up to 150 students and in the same amount of time that with obvious need for gaining experience and for acknowledging that there's going to be a learning curve. Taking on 150 students is not something that is a daunting task. Accessibility. Obviously, when I was in graduate school, I went up to La Follette, Tennessee, for my student internship, and students in Stinking Creek, Tennessee, we were working there, and they didn't have the same type of education available to them as students in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Now with technology and with online courses, if they've got an internet connection, they can access the same courses that that students have in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, or in Liberia, for that matter. Referring back to the video that we watched a few moments ago, the ability to travel at your own pace through your course, to divide your time, your school hours with your work hours or your internship hours is something that really was much more cumbersome before we started looking at utilizing digital learning and online courses for that. So in that world, with that format, students can conceivably finish 12 years of school in 10 years. The average student can conceivably do that. That leaves 2 years for experience gained in internships, for working with humanitarian projects, for gaining work experience, or for taking dual enrollment college credit courses through a university partner with a school. It's many students have obviously finished high school before they were 18, and the only choice after that was to go on to college, even though they were oftentimes emotionally not ready to be on a college campus. Now we can maintain the relationship and the nurturing environment that is high school, with the ability to finish high school, take dual enrollment courses, and save expense dollars, save college tuition dollars by getting quite a bit through those courses out of the way while you're still in high school. Different from AP classes because they actually are college classes, and so there's no AP test that a student would need to take afterwards. They receive the college credit for the course if they achieve the grade. Again, second chances. Many school systems are looking at taking away seat time requirements as well as age limit requirements for awarding high school diplomas. And it's something that we probably will see full implementation of in about 5 years, but that's the trend that everyone is talking about on a statewide level. And then workforce readiness. Companies everywhere are looking for an up-and-coming workforce that is prepared to go into the company and make training time as short as possible. In Georgia particularly, we see a significant move in that direction. Last year, one of our large industry leaders, Kubota Tractor, participated in a program with Gainesville City Schools, a public school system in Gainesville that had difficulty with a large dropout population, and put together a program utilizing a blended learning format with online courses, and that took place 4 hours a day, and then internships at Kubota Tractor. Kubota Tractor, interestingly, whenever they receive new workers, they have certification programs that are specific to working at Kubota Tractor. So you can't, no matter what degree you leave college or your technical school or high school with, it won't be good enough for Kubota Tractor. They want to train you themselves. In this program, Kubota Tractor is taking interns from the local high school, providing them with training and certification, and students that completed their high school, achieved a diploma, completed the training course at Kubota, were offered a job upon the completion of high school, or if they wanted to go into college, they were given $2,000 of a scholarship from Kubota and a job when they finished college. And that's the kind of public-private partnership that we're seeing beginning to develop around the world or around the state. Another example is the Mercedes plant, which has actually started its own school. They had a nice preschool there, and they've expanded that into the elementary grades and middle school grades because they not only want a school that they control and offer courses that are designed for students that may want to work at Mercedes, but a school for the student or the children of the employees who work at Mercedes. So that it's easier access, as well as a curriculum that is more easily controlled by the parents, as well as the managers and administrators at Mercedes-Benz. And again, like I mentioned before, advanced placement courses really are advanced placement courses when you're looking at a dual enrollment course with a university, which offers the college credit for that course. So a student in high school taking biology, college level biology, then gets credit for biology from the partnership that the school has with the university, rather than taking biology in high school and then again in college. Just take it one time. And then global citizenship. Of course, the move toward a 21st century education model with online courses prepares students in a much more rapid way to succeed in an increasingly competitive global marketplace. And that's another reason why students around the world are interested in accessing online courses. And of course, America, again, is leading the way in developing online courses. So moving over to the sample classroom setup. Blending is utilizing, obviously, the digital format or online courses within a classroom where a teacher is still in place. And then flipping utilizes the same, oftentimes the same, or sometimes different coursework for a student to engage in outside of the class. So for today's example, I asked our middle school students to complete lessons 23 through 25 at home and come in tomorrow prepared for taking a quiz. They would do the same lessons, the same content if they were at school. And so the same content that they receive at school, they can access at home. Parents can see what they're accessing. They have a direct parent portal to the courses, as well as live, real-time access to the gradebook. Within this blended classroom, there are a bank of computers on one side of the room, and students, if it's a 50-minute class, students spend about 16 minutes with their online courses. Each lesson takes about 10-15 minutes to complete, and we'll go through a sample lesson in a second. If it's a 90-minute block of classes, you can spend 30 minutes there with the computers, with online courses, and again, that would be about 2, sometimes 3 lessons. At the conclusion of each lesson, there's a short quiz, which is usually about 5 questions, and students, because of the competency-based nature of the courses, students cannot move on to the next level unless they've achieved 80 or 85% competency with each lesson and each lesson quiz. The buzzer rings as students rotate over to the project-based learning segment of the classroom time. And there, right now, our social studies students are working on production of a play based on Gilgamesh. And so they're writing, they're collaborating, they are producing a play that they will perform for others in a few days. And then as the buzzer rings, we'll move over to tutoring and reinforcement section with a teacher, or it could be some additional interns. And here, the students, it's really typically more open-ended. And if students have questions from the homework assignment from the previous night, they get assistance with their questions for the homework assignment. If they need additional, there's usually not additional work that we have to give students who are advanced, because if they're traveling at their own pace, they're moving forward as quickly as they want to. So they're challenging themselves. But typically we're looking at broader types of projects and higher level thinking that takes place within the project-based learning section and the tutoring or the reinforcement section. Over in the lower right-hand corner is the flat screen that contains the digital nervous system, basically, for the classroom. So here, students find out when they walk into the classroom which lesson they need to participate in, or and it's available for the teacher obviously as well on the teacher's desktop. The typically when the students open their online courses, the next lesson pops up for them. But the teacher is able to just with a glance see who's on which lesson on the flat screen. We call it ALMA. And who might be falling behind so that the teacher can assign additional homework or just simply encourage and motivate a student to move a little faster to pick up the pace if they may be falling behind significantly from the rest of the group, or who is ready to move on to the next level of courses. So within this classroom, we can have, say, let's see, 10, nice round number, 10 12-year-olds. And 3 of them are working on algebra, 3 of them are working on pre-algebra, and 4 of them are working on, let's say, 5th grade math. And the teacher is managing, because the teacher is quite capable of managing 10 students, or even 50 students within a framework such as this, as long as ALMA is providing quite a bit of the detail work. Of keeping those students moving forward and answering their questions as the questions arise, and challenging the students, as well as bringing in real-world projects for the students to engage in, such as, for example, stock market games. Let's see, a market day, or various types of activities and exchanges that would cross multiple levels of ages and be relevant for 12-year-olds. And so rather than holding a child back in the 5th grade, rather than investing into the 6th grade because they really didn't get 5th grade math, science, and English, students advance with students of their own age and still have courses that are customized to where their learning is, where it's actually taking place. Building on a competency-based model allows for this. Now to switch over to the other screen quickly so you can see some examples of what our students experience. This is one of our middle school classes, and as a student enters the class each day, it's contained for them so that middle schoolers don't really get an option of not taking one class and them spending all of their time on their favorite class. The middle school day is appropriated out so that when a student may be accessing the courses at home, they can't zoom forward in music theory and leave social studies with no work accomplished there. So for this student, we've got their portfolio, and for this one, we're looking at social studies and their lesson video.
Guys,
Then
you'll never believe what little gem of a find I just stumbled on.
I was having a little difficulty with our bandwidth earlier. So it's,
that's right, the one, the only.
So it's a digital learning video-based section right there for the introduction of the lesson. And then the next activity that the student would go into is their textbook, which is broken down into usually about 2 or 3, maybe 4 pages of material. And I can't access it until I've watched the entire video lesson as that student. And so there's no skipping ahead. You have to take advantage of each of the activities that are offered here for our middle school students. And then over on the section where it reads 1 cog, they receive cogs, basically, or prizes, rewards that are banked for them. And at an interval that is determined either by the student or by the teacher, they can go spend those cogs in the resource room for accessorizing an avatar. And we'll get to take a look at what their avatars looks like in just a second. The avatars they're in the resource room is basically designed to allow students to engage with other students, to engage with tutorials with a teacher supervising, and yet it still at the same time protects their privacy. And so they can trick it out with, they can trick out their avatars with additional sunglasses or cool pants, etc., and go spend some time doing Sudoku or chess or art activities or writing assignments. That's where they find those additional assignments. The activities workbook typically is where the basis, the foundation for project-based learning may occur. Teachers have access to lesson plans, and the structure, like I mentioned, 85% of the course is contained within the structure. And the activities workbook is usually a workbook that can be printed out and serve as the basis for project-based learning, so you don't always have to come up with your own projects. Again, I need to go back and spend more time with my book and to go a little deeper into the lesson. There are 15 opportunities within this type of online course from this publishing company called Edison Learning. 15 opportunities to learn a lesson, and then before you ever go to take a quiz or an evaluation. And then that way students are much more prepared. You can retake an evaluation. The teacher has to go in and physically reset the evaluation for you to take it, so it takes obviously conversation with the teacher and an agreement by both parties. There are, again, safeguards for ensuring that falsification of identity or assignments is caught early. And even for the teachers, if as an administrator, if I see that a teacher, every child in the teacher's classroom is receiving hundreds, and I know that's simply not possible, then I can go in and unusual grades will be flagged for me, so I can make sure that the teachers are also doing what they should do. And then additional learning activities that are either embedded within the course or are activities that the teacher may assign. Let's see. If I close out of this, again, you can see the grade book is maintained on a daily basis, real time, and the progress that a student is making in their classes. And so for this student, it's different levels for each of the different classes, and may have opened part 2 of a course, and some students may be at part 3 of a course, of a year-long course, and then sometimes some struggling students may still be at part 1 of a year-long course. Wanted to open for you, let's see, the portal for a high school student. While I'm doing that, if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
My main question is which program, how do you decide which programs to use in your online schools? There's so many options available now.
There are. We went with Edison Learning, and eDynamics is a provider for electives and vocational exploration courses. And Edison Learning, we chose those guys because of primarily the diagnostic component that is available for students, and the competency-based format, the 15 opportunities to learn material before you take a test on it, because many times with an online course, students are tempted to skip over the reading content and just go into taking the test and take the test as many times as possible until they pass it. And so to prevent that from happening, this type of structure was necessary for us. K-12 is one of the obvious large providers of online courses. And then we're seeing more and more MOOCs that are available for K through 12 learning, the massive open online courses that many of our students will access for college-level content. And we're seeing more of those companies providing those for our high school. I see them as great additions to a classroom for a tech-savvy type of teacher. I'm not one of those types of teachers, you might be able to tell. And so I prefer something that gives me a solid foundation so that there's a fair amount of self-containment in the courses. And then I can add on additional information and additional technology and digital learning as I see interest there.
But your format could work with free portals like Khan Academy and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. And Khan Academy is probably one of the most common and widely used online courses or digital learning tools for flipping a classroom. And so assigning those students so many lessons in Khan Academy in the evening, and then when they come the next day, in a classroom where a student is moving at their own pace, the most challenging part is meeting the children where they are. But Khan Academy allows for greater engagement, and so you've got students that are self-motivated more than we've seen in the past. It's been my experience. For our high school students, an example of their course here is, let's see, I was just doing this earlier, U.S. government, and this is one that I started at the beginning of the year. And you can see how their lesson moves forward. From the teacher portal, which I might not have time to show you, again, the lesson plans are there. The textbook is available and can be downloaded or not. It can be read online. Additional, where the light bulb is, additional suggestions for going deeper into the content. This item here is pre-learning for each of the lessons. And so the little avatar.
13 original states of the United States were English colonies. Most of the colonists were French.
And so with this, you can see that there's a chat room over here that is not an actual chat room. It's sort of a fake chat room for students to read what's taking place rather than listening to the avatar if they prefer to do that. And then we've got the visual engagement of what will take place within the lesson as well at the bottom. And so this need to know is, again, just pre-learning activities taking place prior to the class starting. And then the content, the textbook, like I mentioned before, it's typically about 3 pages or 4 pages. And there it went. And then there's relearning and opportunities. What I wanted to show you too is this at the bottom, which I have to turn that on for most of my students. Without it, they tend to move way too fast through the content, and I don't know if they've actually read it. If I have the text-to-speech engaged for them and they're under headphones, then I know that they are moving too fast. The material they're listening and they're reading at the same time, and that's one of the nice features as to why I chose this content provider as well. A couple of the other aspects, the Research Center is the place where the kids go to cash in their cogs and to spend more time going deeper within a subject or playing supportive games such as Sudoku and chess and doing writing assignments or art assignments. Let's see, this is where it looks like a Sims arcade game, and here's my student right here, and here's his avatar. And so it has his name, but we can block out his name. And, oh, there's another student here too. And so the students can meet other students, and this student may be from somewhere in Spain, for all we know. If they are allowed to be in the resource room, it's because they're well behaved and they don't engage in bullying activities or foul language, and they're there because the teacher has sent them there for a specific assignment, or they're going to try out additional brain-building types of activities. So just a brief look there at the research room, and this is let's see, this is the arcade where they get to play chess, checkers, Sudoku, mahjong, or other games that a teacher may assign for them. Hello, children. Okay. So just a quick look through at what the students actually experience for 1/3 of their classroom time while they're in a blended learning format. And that is concludes the presentation, but certainly if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
If you wanted to type a question, or you could send her an email, either way, we'd be glad to help you with that. One of the things that I wanted to, I think, Kelly, you did a marvelous job, and it helps me to oversee what you're doing. Even as we participate in this webinar, we are learning about blended learning as we participate in the online webinar, with you being in Atlanta and me being in Nashville and these trainees being all over the state. So I think that we are modeling our own behavior. I did want to remind the people from the state of Tennessee, if they will look at our professional educators website, we have educator resources, and I believe that, I'm trying to show my screen just a second. If it's switching yes to me, let me show you my screen. Okay, if you can see the educator resources page, we have, and my goal is to find as many free, absolutely no cost, since we have so many public school teachers, things for you. If you'll look at each one of our tabs, we have all kinds of mostly free websites and links to them, and they tell you what they have. So please don't forget to check your pet website to find the latest and the greatest, hopefully, of free materials for teachers. Thank you for participating in our webinar. We're delighted that you were here, and thank you. Again, we'll hope to have this online available for you, and we'll send an email regarding